Hello, my lovelies! Jenny O here, the author with no last name. And today is the day we go over the survey results! In order to keep everyone honest, I will be going through the survey results and keeping the video for reference for Star Stable Entertainment or anyone in the community. This will take as long as it takes. And let's sum up what brought us here. In 10 years, Star Stable Online has 3 months or 100 days worth of story content of what is mostly fetch quests. That's low. We should have at least a year of content if they're going to time gate everything, if not more. We only have 1/5 of the proposed map. The first story arc of Soul Riders vs. Garnock is nowhere near complete, and it should be. They don't have a combat system, a magic system, a skills system for horses, or horse race type mechanics prominent in other horse games of their type. They have gone from 50 employees in 2017 to over 230 in 2021, and we are getting consistently less and less story content. There are currently 4 art styles in the game, as we still have characters from Starshine Legacy. The current color palette for the game is garish, bright, and childish, having neither color balance of warm versus cool, or color contrast of bright to very tonal, or saturated versus desaturated in art terms. The engine is roughly 15-year-old at best. The code is breaking continually, and they don't seem to have a beta or test server to build the game in. Even though the company has gone from 20 million to 44 million in profit in roughly 2 years. No clue on if that is before or after overhead and taxes. However, vexing. What are these employees doing, and where is this money going outside of the pockets of Nordisk Films? In 2022 and 2023, there are going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 new horse games out on the market. Equestrian the Game, Swim, the Minecraft mod, The Ranch of Rivershine, Tales of Rain Ravine, and Astride. Wildshade is already out. Alicia Online is still thriving. And people are playing Rival Stars or Red Dead Redemption 2 or online or even Farm Simulator 19 to 21 over Star Stable. Plus there's Horse Isle 3 plugging away. For the #1 horse game on the internet, it's my opinion that SSO has until Astride comes out in 2023 to aggressively, and I do mean aggressively, turn their game around. Someone brought up to me, and I have to agree with the idea, it would have been better for Star Stable Online to complete their map and their story with the Star Stable seasonal games level graphics, and then have a separate team working on remastering the engine and the graphics on a separate server to release when it's ready. This would have meant they would have only needed to create the buildings and characters absolutely necessary for the game to be finished. Buildings, depending on how detailed they are, can take upwards of 8 to 16 hours to model, plus texturing. 40 for something really complicated, which SSO doesn't need. New character, if you know what you're doing, 2 weeks to model, max. Then they need to be rigged and animated. You can get these estimates by watching people on YouTube. They could have kept our soul horse, aka the starter horse, the same model as the soul horses from Starshine Legacy. SSC, with the Star Stable seasonal rider games, had all the textures for all the seasons. They had buildings, they had game mechanics. All of that could have been brought into SSO, including their limited dressage, reining, and trail riding mechanics. This would have preserved the show jumping vault system and the endurance race stamina meter. If they wanted more game mechanics, such as care systems and mini-games like red light, green light, or putting in the ability for the character to jump and crouch, those could have been added in as reasonable additions. Plus the social systems necessary to be an MMO game and the RPG systems necessary to be an RPG, such as magic and horse skills. Things could have been built relatively quickly. Then they would have had a complete, maybe mildly buggy, game. Still, it would have been complete, and maybe the graphics make it look like it's not worth $70, and the options for cosmetics in the game would have been limited. It's not worth $70 now, so no big deal. That would have changed once the remaster and setup to the next story arc was released. Then it would have been reasonable to add hundreds of clothing and tech items along with the new character models and horse models in an upgraded and modernized database. That would have been an astounding and truly remarkable 10th year anniversary versus a quiz trail ride, some self-guided tours, and a free horse. But here we are. So let's get to the survey, for which there were no wrong answers. It's been rather fun watching this purely from a statistical perspective. I like pie charts, okay? Sue me. When I said I wanted 100 people to take the survey, and you did that in 24 hours, go you lovelies, I was trying for the bare minimum of statistical averages. I wanted 1,000 people to take the quiz because that is the number of the U.S. Department of Labor and big companies like Gallup use to get their statistical analysis of the different issues, because at 1,000 people, supposedly you get general consensus of millions. We don't need millions, we need the consensus opinion of 663,000. Now, this is going to depend on how the questions are phrased. Whether or not this was a good survey or a bad survey will depend on your reading of it. I wanted to get as many different groups of players who play SSO as possible. That's why it was 6 parts. You didn't have to answer every single part. All questions were optional. I wasn't trying to trick anyone, and I did try to be as fair as possible to give you the option of let's leave it the way it is now. At 200 people, the averages began to level out. At 400 people, the averages remained roughly the same as at 200. And then getting 1,000 people to answer the survey voluntarily is me hoping SSE will look at it and take it seriously. It was advertised on Reddit by someone who'd created a meme. It was advertised on open SSO Facebook groups by people not me. There was even a video by someone who disliked the survey, and if they want to make their own, more power to them. The more information we get, the better. I didn't care about demographics. I don't care how old you are, how long you've been playing, where you are from, how many accounts you have, how many horses you own in the game or in real life, or what gender you identify as. We are all players. What you want game story and mechanics-wise has absolutely nothing to do with the demographics. This is why I didn't include them. I didn't want to try and subdivide us into more little groups to snipe at each other. We are players, and this is what we expect out of the self-proclaimed #1 horse game on the internet. So my plan is I'm going to take these survey results and create a player-created roadmap for SSO. I'm not going to call it the Strikes Demand Roadmap. I know there are those of you who are already striking, or if you're like me, you haven't actually bought star coins in years. You can use this roadmap or sections of this roadmap you can post on your Instagram or your Tumblr or whatever to tell SSO you aren't giving them star coins and minimal server time until they fulfill the part of the player roadmap that's important to you. Part 1 will be things they've already promised. Story with Dark Riders, update of the Baroness Racetrack, Northlink, hopefully silver-graded Clestian Center area with those characters, and the character update. If they cannot come through with those this year, we are in trouble. Part 2 will be the more general demands, and then I'll work out your priorities for each thing from there. Yes, I asked for priorities for a reason that I didn't realize at the time, but let us all pretend, as usual, I planned it this way. Yes, yes. Thank you, my lovelies, for taking the survey and spreading the word. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get down to it. Alright, so how many responses did we get? Well, it is the February the 18th. Oops. Here. I'm recording this early because my head has been really weird lately and I don't trust it one little bit. But as of February the 18th, we have 914 responses. You guys, my lovelies, that blows me away. That is was beyond my wildest expectations. You know, I thought 1,000 was ideal. You know, I thought that was the moon. But you guys have pretty much almost gotten us there, and there is literally a week left for you people to get more responses into here. So the first question I asked was, how many updates, patches would you prefer to see in a year? We got 902 responses to this. That's right, you don't have to answer every single question. That's fine with me. So 44.7% said monthly, and a third of you, a little over a third of you, still like them as they are now, weekly. Okay. So, and then a good 13% of you want bi-monthly updates. Now, the 1/3 of you who still want weekly updates, the only way I can see that happening and it actually helping SSE or SSO as a game and SSE as a company is if the weekly update patches are bug and code fixes. You know, updating the texture to make sure they have all the different layers that they need. As for content updates, a monthly content update would give them more time to work on bigger projects so we could see much more improvement to the game rather than them scrambling every single week to give us something little to, you know, stop the ooh, new sparkly thing, I have to log in. Honestly, personally, I'd like to see them quarterly, but a monthly update would be monthly content update that would include events, any races, any tech, one horse, you know, and story being content. One content update a month would help them immensely. That way they would have 3 weeks out of the month to work on projects that might take longer than, you know, 7 days, and then they would also have more time to work on fixing the bugs and fixing the code and fixing the database, which is a real problem right now. Setting up a test server, which according to Stacy Place that they're still thinking about and they want to do. Okay, well, stop thinking and start doing, you know? So question 2 is, how many horses total would you prefer to see in a year? And this one was really, I did not know exactly what you guys wanted on this one. I don't think anybody really did, because, you know, the numbers have just been so varied. I've never seen any sort of consensus. And so this one was really interesting to me because half of you want 24 horses a year or 4 breeds in a year. That means 1 horse every 3 months. 1 new horse breed every 3 months. And that is that 51% of you think they need to cut their, we're getting 72 right now, so then you think that we need to cut the horses down by a third. 24 horses is even less than what they were putting out in 2017. In 2017, according to my numbers that I wrote when I went through there, they had put out 43 horses. So you're asking for even, half of what they put out in 2017, back when we thought, oh, well, I thought there were still too many horses coming up, but I don't know what you guys thought. So 24 horses, 4 breeds in a year. I think if they put out 4 breeds in a year, that means they get 3 months on them. That would give them extra time to really do well on the animations, really get the textures down, really get the models down, maybe get a style guide going. And also it could help go back and fix the Gen 3 horses they already have, or fit tack to the Gen 3 horses they already have. So this was so interesting to me on this question, because half of you were like, just 24. 4 breeds in a year. That was really cool. The next question was just as interesting, which is how many magic horses release in a year? And 1/3 of you want 1 magical horse release in a year. And then a quarter of you would like 2, which is Christmas, Halloween only. And then the rest of you were split up between 3 and 4, which is current. The 4 is roughly current right now. You want to make them really special. I don't blame you. Just make 1 Halloween horse or 1 Christmas horse per year, or make them super special and make them fit into the lore a lot better right now, because a lot of them just don't seem to even really fit into any type of lore. It just seems very strange to me. But 1 magic horse release in a year. Okay. What would you prefer? To sell back horses for store coins, or trade in for a new generation horse, or both? And 60% of you said both. I really don't blame any of you for this, because sometimes you don't want the new horse, the new updated breed of the horse. Maybe you just want the star coins so you can buy a different horse of a different breed upcoming or whatever. But I agree, there should be both. Honestly, both. What percentage would you like to buy back gear or tack to be set at? So 43% of you say 50%, where a quarter of you say 25%, and then the rest of it was split between what is now currently at 10% and 75%. And I think, and I agree, 50% seems to be a pretty good even type of buyback option. I mean, maybe 70, I thought when I put it in there, 75% might be a little too high, so 50% seems to be a good, at least get half of what you paid for it. That's actually fairly typical in a buyback type of situation, except if they're trying to be like GameStop and exploit you. What, in your opinion, is the most urgent update to the game? So we have 40% here, 361 of you say the story quests. A quarter of you say all of the above, with the story quests, race mechanics overhaul, the map, the club and group mechanics, bug and animation fixes. 14 want the bug and animation fixes first, and 12% wants the character, the overhaul of the entire, basically the visual look of the game. And the club and group mechanics seems to be the very, very last priority for all of you, which I can understand. So then the second most urgent update to the game. So here we go with a kind of like this little pie chart got a little, you guys are very split on what you want this to be the second most update after the story quests. And it's, all the above still has that almost 25% rating again. But then you guys want the visual, the look of the game to be completed. And honest to God, I do not blame you. As an artist, that bugs the crap out of me. So more story, and then the map overhaul, and after that I would call bug and animation fixes, and then the fourth is the race mechanics overhaul. Then lastly would be club and group mechanics. If according to your responses, those should be the priorities of Star Stable Online: story, map, bugs, race mechanics, club and group. Hey, that is actually really good information if you are a game developer team working on a long-term game. This is the way you know what your players want, and you guys really want the map to be finished and the bugs to be taken out and more story. Sounds reasonable to me. So number 2, we move on to the story and quest questions. So, would you like to see more tutorial-style quests for events and new game mechanics? 63% of you said yes. This seems like a really, no-nonsense, yes or no type of question, and the only reason why I put it in is because I have seen a lot of feedback that sometimes how to do events or what's going on in the story seem to be very confusing to players who have not done the events before. Remember, this game they're currently advertising it for 8 and 9-year-olds, and this is an 8 or 9-year-old's very first game, and they don't have a lot of tutorial explanations that kind of a little hand holding that other games that would be aimed at 8 or 9-year-olds or even 10-year-olds have. So it'd be nice I thought it would be nice to have more tutorial quests in the game, and you guys agree with me. So we're all on the same page here. In actual story quest, not grind/collection stuff, do you feel more satisfied by the length of quest, number of quest, or quality and complexity of the story? And 75% of you say the quality and complexity of the story, which I think we can all agree has kind of gone downhill in the last couple of years. So we want good story. It's not enough for it to be, a 20-minute quest to run around, from one end of the map to the other. There has to be a good story to get our emotions involved in it. Saving Anne was a relatively good story. Saving Justin was a relatively good story until we started flapping our wings and flying away and having no control over the horse. Those were decent, good quality stories. Now, this whole wild herds thing is feels very surface level. It doesn't, we're running around trying to solve all these 8-year-old horses' problems, and there's nothing really there to keep us hooked or engaged, other than what we project onto it, type of thing. How much story, question, main and side, do you need in a year to feel satisfied? So the questions were 1 hour, bare minimum, see 2021, 12 hours, 1 hour of story a month, or 24 hours, 2 hours of story a month. So 60% of you, 2/3 of you, roughly, say 12 hours of story a year, whether it's side story or main story, is what you would need to feel satisfied. So for 12 hours a year, over 10 years would be 120 hours worth of story, which, depending on how they time locked it, if they put in an hour of running around a day, 120. Math. 120 divided by 20 divided by 30 is, it'd be 4 months. So, you know, if that was what they were putting out every year, we would be a month short or 30 days short of that bare minimum over 10 years. Honestly, they need a little more, but, you know, but at bare minimum, you know, how much do you need to feel satisfied? You guys say an hour story a month. All right. Would you like the story to come out in chunks, as per now, seasons, an arc of a story like Madison and Night Dust, or chapters, the kidnapping and rescuing of Justin? So the kidnapping and rescuing of Justin, so over half of you wanted to come out in chapters. So, all right. This next question is going to make this previous question's response kind of moot. So you guys, if story came out at set times in a year, would you like story monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or twice a year? And 39% of you have said you want to see it monthly. You can't have it as a chapter and have it be monthly. You can't, you know, or you guys want to see it bi-monthly. Sorry. You guys want to have chapters, but you want them to come out bi-monthly. That's just not going to happen. If you're going to have chapters, they're going to have to come out twice a year, every 6 months. If you want seasons, yes, you might get quarterly, but for bi-monthly, you're going to get it in chunks. Bi-monthly, monthly, that's going to be chunks. I know that it seems a little weird, you know, maybe I should have explained it better, but if you want it in chapters, you're going to get it twice a year. If that's the only way that can happen. You know, the kidnapping and rescuing of Justin was a big story arc versus the season of Madison and Night Dust. That was, you know, that was a bigger part of this bigger story, which was the rescuing of Anne. So, these two questions here, you guys want big chunks of story, and you want them to come out bi-monthly, which means you're going to get a lot more than 12 hours a year. It's not that they're wrong answers, it's just what you want is kind of contradicting each other. So I can't explain it any more than that. Maybe I should have put it out, you know, that monthly and bi-monthly would be chunks, and then quarters would be seasons, and chapters would be twice a year. Maybe I should explain that a little better. That's on me, not on you guys. So let's keep moving. If you had a preference, what story quest line should be finished first, given they are supposedly doing the Baroness's racetrack? And the Baroness's racetrack came up in the January blog, the December blog post put up by Stacy Place, where they were showing off the Dark Riders, and she was all, hint, hint, somebody is getting a makeover for her new, along with her new racetrack. You know, start building that hype. So 46% of you want the Ice Rich Return of the Culters, which makes sense because I hear a lot of people going, we want Dino Valley to be redone. I get you, and a lot of people want the Culters to return. Dino Valley has absolutely nothing going for it right now. You know, there's no, you know, we're not doing any sort of Keystone works with Magnus. There's no horse herds up there. There's nothing to do outside of archaeology if you finish the whole story. So, then the next one is saving New Hillcrest Stables and Fort Maria, which totally also understand, like, because Epona, that whole area came out right after Dino Valley. So it's been sitting there quite a while, kind of just staring at us. And then the last of you, 8% of you, want Yorvik City. Totally understood. So then resolving the Wildwood horse herds at 7%, the south of Rescue Ranch at 5.6%. There's nothing to do there, so maybe we should see some more. And Starshine Ranch, which has had absolutely nothing in terms of story, really, but I wanted to include it because they've added it in there, and maybe there's some story attached to it. Maybe not. So this is a good thing to know if you're a game development company of what do your players want to see and in what order. So, let's get on updating the map so we can do Dino Valley. Let's get on, updating the map so we can finish up saving New Hillcrest and Hillcrest and Fort Maria. Get that open. Here we go. 8%. More people want story in your big city than they want the wild horse herds. That's important to know. Okay. So next, the gaming and race mechanics questions. Now, I did not take into any type of technical limitations when I was asking these questions. There are no wrong answers, folks. I'm not putting in any sort of technical limitations on them because this is 2022. Everything that I am asking has been done back in 2005. If you cannot in 2020, sorry, you guys have gotten me on that one already. 2022. If you guys in 2022 cannot do horse game mechanics in your #1 horse game on the internet that were being done in your own IP franchise back in 2005 to 2008, then you might as well just shut down as a company, because this is ridiculous at this point. And I understand, given the way that mobile is working right now, that some of the stuff that they've taken out, such as the auto slow and the cold tolerance thing, might be in order to make it easier on mobile players. You can't see my face, you can't see the faces that I'm making, but this is not a good practice. I am seriously against Star Stable Online as a mobile game, the full thing. Okay, stable care, sure. But, running around doing quests and running around doing champs, trying to have everybody be able to do everything that they can do in the desktop version on mobile, it's just not feasible, not with their engine, not with the way that the game is optimized, and definitely not with the game mechanics of a horse game in the way they're set up, the way the controls SSO has them set up for the mobile game. I don't really like horse racing games on mobile. It's just a thing. So with me, but especially big MMOs, maybe a MOBA, maybe like a little cooking game or something. But SSO was designed to be a desktop game, and on top of it, SSO Mobile is running an older version of the code. So, it's just, so you're going to go to the desktop version, and then you're going to go to log into the mobile version, and things are just going to be really different. It's not going to look the same, it's not going to play the same. I just don't see, a lot of resources are being put into making this mobile and Android. There's going to be a lot of data. There's going to be a lot of kids making purchases without their parents' consent. You do realize that you cannot buy lifetime on the mobile. You can pay $70 for a yearly subscription, but there's no lifetime subscription like you could buy on the PC version, and there's no indication that they're telling people these 8 or 9-year-old kids who are buying subscriptions on the mobile version that there is a lifetime option on the PC version if they go and log in on their desktop, which is makes me feel like they're gonna phase out lifetime, or they're trying to pull, unintentionally maybe pull the wool over the eyes of these kids. It's a little skeezy. So, and it launched, and it's been out for 6 months in other markets, and it still has bugs. This is not acceptable. I mean, I've seen people, you expect it to have no bugs after 2 days of being launched? When it's been out 6 months on other markets? Yes, absolutely. So let's go back to the questions. So no technical limitations, stuff they've already done previously in their own games. It's 2022, let's act like it. Would you like to see horse training mechanics from the Has Us So Horses app be put into the game? Yes or no? 68% of you said yes. I 100% totally agree, because I never understood Star Stable Horses was just there to be a market funnel for the game. The app, it was just there to be a market funnel for the game in the Android and Apple iOS store. I don't like that it has a limited, some of the horses on there are the only horses I would have bought in that breed. So I don't like the fact that they're app only. I just go, well, just put down, it's free, download it on your phone. My phone's from 2006, get over it. I have no reason to buy a smartphone. I don't, my phone is a phone, and I want my phone to remain a phone, type of thing. So, 68% of you said yes. Good. Glad we're all on the same page. Would you like a first-person camera mode? 73% of you said yes. And I can agree with you, after playing Horse World 3D, I think a first-person camera mode would be good. For as long as you're riding horses. If you're running around down on the ground, I don't know as much. East Shade is making me wonder a little bit about the ground, but it would really depend on how well they set up the camera. That's the thing. Sometimes if you have this first-person camera mode, and if it's set up for having it on a 2-controller stick system, it's clunky. If they set it up properly, the camera set up properly, it wouldn't be quite so clunky. It wouldn't be clunky. Just, set it to this fixed rate way it is right now, and, with the turning radius, with the WASD and the arrows. But if they tried to set it up like it was a 2-controller system where you have turning on one hand and the camera on the other hand, it'd be a mess. Just from personal experience, it's a mess. Okay, would you like to see the horse race system in earning medal badges be tied to the overall story crest, such as earning medals to get to the Claymore Eventing Challenge, as in Star Stable Autumn Riders? 69% of you said yes. Yes, let's make these earning gold badges and, medals be worth something. I was using that in the story crest myself in my edit, which is on my website, or on AO3. It's called Completely Harmless, and it's put up by Ginny Zero. It's put up, Eva E. Maria put it up for me, and Ginny Zero as AO3, or you can go to my website, which is Ginny, the number 0.wordpress.com. Let me go over here. Ginny, the number 0.wordpress.com. You go to books, and you scroll down to the bottom past all my professional werewolf books and my fairy tale books, and then past the free production guides for your fiction if you write it all, and then you get to where the horses are, and there's the Completely Harmless, so you can read the story, or you can check out my appendixes. And the story is 500 pages, and how do I know this? Because my first book is also that length. The Lone Prospect here was also around 175,000 words, and was also 500 pages. Same Rodeo's run was around the same length. Me? Writing short? Yeah, right. So, you know, if you cared to read my edit of the first third of the story. If not, well, that's fine too. So, okay. Nextly, what story-related quest or quest lines and reputation need more game mechanics? The story, archaeology, fishing, or all of the above? And half of you said all of the above. I love you guys. Yes, everything really does need more game mechanics. This right now, Star Saber really does feel like a more of a visual novel with the fetch quests, and sometimes the fetch quests have inventory items, and sometimes the fetch quests don't. So, and I understand that they have been redoing things. So they took out the sun circle and they took out the lightning circle. Reputation quest, which actually had some of these kind of click on the screen mini games to them, and they took out, you know, when they take out the crashing rainbows, there was that sliding bar mini game there that they had that they ended up taking out. The fishing is the fishing quests that I have seen a lot better fishing mechanics in other games, so I think, you know, some research on the fishing mechanics would be better. And take that away from reputation, you know, daily reputation things. Let just people go fishing. I would, you know, you remember how they were going to let on South Hoof, they were, you know, we ran around and pried off oysters or something from the rocks, you know, and we could be making traps, you know, being able to just sell fish to these fishing NPCs whenever we wanted. Archaeology definitely needs some more archaeology, like 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 mechanics. You know, remember when, maybe you don't, but one Christmas they had this mini game where you cleaned up the stable by cleaning, kind of like by cleaning the screen, and it was not in the main game overall, but it was up on their website type of thing. You know, maybe some of that. But in the story, you know, we have the red light, green light in the herding, which the herding needs some help. Needs to be refined a little bit. You know, there should be some more stuff going on. So 52% of you say all of the above, which is great. um, if race experience were to get an overhaul, the races that give the most XP in cross-country should be the longest races or the races with the most jumps obstacles. And you guys are pretty much dead 50-50 on this. In a way, the longest races are usually the races with the most jumps or obstacles, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So, you know, I would, you know, love to see more XP, particularly on the longer races, because it's really annoying when you do a long race that's anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes long, and then you end up with less experience that you get for a 30-second race. You know, just so 50-50, you know, it could go either way. If they were to revamp the cross-country race mechanics, what mechanic would you like to see first? So 33% of you say you want to see drifting, which I'm going to assume is influence from both Red Dead Redemption, Black Desert Online, and Alicia Online. You know, and I think maybe drifting would help with some of those really sharp turns they're putting in lately. And if they put in drifting in a way, it would help with their Western mechanics too. And then the second priority, according to your percentages here, would be the endurance meter, which I really think the endurance meter needs to make a comeback. And then a jump bar, like a jump bar mechanic. As you're approaching a jump, there would be a bar coming that would go up and down, and when you hit green, if you hit your space, and when it's green, you would jump over the obstacle. And then the return of auto slow was the last part of it for races only. I said I'm saying races only because, it would make you pay attention more during the races. A lot of people say that their minds are turned off when they're doing the races now, but that would be your guys' last priority. Understandable. I mean, I would understand wanting more different mechanics. And if you put in drifting and you put in an endurance meter and you put in a return of the jump bar, auto slow might not be a problem anymore because you have to pay more attention to what speed you're going at and how, whether or not the endurance meter has gone down. You'd be dropping out of top speed then anyway, and you'd have to, slow down to redo it to get it to fill up again. So, the return of auto slow might be the very last thing that needs to be added in. That seems logical. If a race experience were to get an overhaul, the races that give the most XP in show jumping should be based on time, the shortest, which it is right now, basically. Well, not experience, but you succeeding at the race, shortest amount of time, or the least amount of mistakes, aka faults. So, there are basically two types of show jumping races and 6-bar. So there is faults and faults converted. So faults is if you make so many mistakes when you're show jumping over these obstacles, you fail. And in faults converted, the faults, if you make so many mistakes during the show jumping competition, not only do you fail, but you get time added to your overall time score. So the least amount of mistakes or faults, you would set, an easy race would have like, oh, you're allowed 8 faults, whereas a hard, really, really hard race would have 0 faults. So in the 0 faults race or competition would give much more XP than the one with 8. So, the 0 would be your 250, while your 8 would be, I think the lowest they've ever given for a race is 75, maybe 50. I think 75 is the lowest that they've ever given for a race. So if the race requirement is 0 faults, you'd get a lot more experience than you would if you had a race requirement where you could have 8 mistakes. If race experience were to get an overhaul, the races that give the most XP in show jumping should be based on beating the clock, faults, if you hit, which I explained, if you hit the bar's amount of times you fail, or faults converted where you're hitting the bar at the clock time. So half of you said faults converted, which is realistic to life, Faults converted is considered the hardest show jumping competition. So the races that give the most XP in show jumping, you would want to be faults converted races. Totally understandable. So if race experience were to get an overhaul, in dressage, what should give the most experience? Assuming they ever add dressage to the game. Number of figures, length of show, or special moves used. And again, you're about 50-50 here. So the number of figures, length of show is at 460, and the special figures moved is 419. So I would have to really look into how FEI scores dressage to know which one was actually correct. But sometimes, it could be either or, depending on the level of the dressage tournament. Like, maybe it's like fencing. Maybe, there is certain moves you have to be able to make to reach certain ribbon levels. I don't know. Have to look. If they were to add in dressage, what mechanic would you like first? So 59% of you want the horse movement skills, which are piaffe, levad, etc., things like that. So things that we actually already kind of have in the game as those special animations, which understandable. A lot of you are doing the SSO version of dressage in the game. That's what keeps you there with your clubs. So you would want to be able to do those horse movement skills over, say, something like rhythm game. Over the 30% of you who want rhythm game mechanics, and then the last 11% of you want forced gate speed. So, you know, I understand where you're coming from on that one. And then if they were to add in more Western style races, would you like to see reining, trail riding, flag barrel race, gymkhana, or making working equitation actual working equitation? Now, I said reining here was super fast dressage. It's not actually for super fast dressage. What I was going off of were the game mechanics from Star Stable's Summer Riders with Snakebite Ranch and Coyote and Herman building a castle in a swamp. And Mr. Sands going, "You can't build a castle in my swamp," and the story just ending. In Star Stable Summer Riders, rating was literally super fast dressage. It was just the same exact things you were doing in dressage at a faster speed. Where in the trail riding was very also similar to the dressage, but they would lay out this course on the ground, and you would have to go through the trail, go through the poles, and in places go backwards, and walk around in circles. So that was kind of really cool. But 35% of you want the making working equitation actual working equitation. It's so funny to me. Because, I mean, when they were like, "So we've put working equitation into the game," and I did it, I looked at it, and I went, I've researched some of this for my own MMORPG project here, for the Mystic Riders project. And I'm going, this is not actual working equitation. This is just a fancy show jumping race. And because in something like working equitation, which is, it's about the training your horse has. So yes, there are parts, your horse, it's you training your horse to do things when you are not on its back. Like you are out in the middle of the West, and you are on a cattle ride, and you need the horse to be able to do things on its own that you've trained it to do while you're standing off over here, or you're lying on the ground, or, your horse has to know what to do to help you. So, so there will be some show jumping parts of it, but there will be parts of it where you get off the horse and you lead it, and then you had the horse stand still for a certain amount of time before you start moving again. There's actually, I believe there is a similar thing in English writing, but Western writing is 100% based around, ranch and ranch life and cattle herding, and read some more Louis L'Amour novels. I'd say read Zane Grey, but my understanding is Zane Grey, it's just so boring. Read some Louis L'Amour novels, type of thing, So I find it really amusing that you guys want them to fix what they actually have before adding in the reining or adding in the trail riding, and then adding in more gymkhana, which is more pole bending and barrel riding stuff. And then the last is the flag barrel race, which is something ponies could do. You pick up a flag and you take it to the next barrel, back and forth type of thing. Would you like a revamp of pole bending and barrel riding horse movement mechanics to make it more realistic? 79.5 of you, so 80% of you said yes. It's necessary. Probably adding in drifting would help that. Just watching a barrel race, professional barrel race riders and their horses, yeah, the physics of that, I don't know, they might have to do some recoding to the engine to do that, but 2022. Get on it. Come on. Would you like different game modes for races? Easy, medium, and hard. 70% of you said yes. Totally agree. Very simple there. Should racing systems open up at different levels? Illustrative examples. Cross country at level 1, show jumping level 8, dressage level 11. And you guys said yes. 65% of you say yes, you want that to happen. And, you know, it kind of happens now already since they moved pole bending out of Moorland. Like, you can't start doing any pole bending until you get to Starshine Ranch. But, you know, you can't do any show jumping until you're level like 7 or 8. But it should, I think it would be like a more formal system could be put into place type of thing. More than just, oh, you've now opened this part of the map and gone through this part of the story. Getting to level 11 in Star Stable is really easy. In your opinion, what would be better rewards for championships? Maximum Jorvik shillings, star coins, or exclusive tack and gear set? When all the champs get all the items. 45% of you say star coins. I expected that one. I really did. So, you know, it would be good. I think the champ systems would have to be overhauled. You know, there might have to be like a cooldown time for people to, you know, who won champs to be able to run the champs again. But yes, if you win a champ, then star coins, and you know, maybe some level 23s right now can only race against level 23s type of thing. Just some little tweaks. Should ponies be slower than horses? 52.1% say yes, and 47.9% say no. So this is one of those 50-50 things. So I think the problem was the ponies where they had them before were too slow. Now where they have them is they're too fast. So maybe they could find a nice 50-50, you know, where they were versus where they are now, you know, halfway section between, you know, ponies and horses, the speeds. That could be a nice compromise. I don't know. This is one of those, because right now with the ponies being the same speed as the horses, there's no reason to have a pony champ. There's no reason to have a pony race, etc., etc. So we need to have some sort of mechanic put in there for the ponies, be it they're slowed down a little bit, or they can only go certain places, or whatever, to make it worthwhile to have a pony. If they add in a horse bonding system, what would you like to see first? So, catch and tame a horse, red light, green light, horse personalities with animations, a horse friendship system, halter and saddle training, or doing more with your horse, which is laying down, sitting, hugging, care mini games, etc. So this is another one where you guys are pretty much dead middle. 34.8% want to do more with the horse, and 34.2% want horse personalities with animations. And you're dead set in the middle on the second priority, 2 here, as, you know, doing more with your horse and horse personalities. So here's what I'm going to have to say, is that you guys, you want doing more with your horse just a tiny bit more than you want horse personalities. So honestly, yes, I understand this one. Because they have been showing these pictures so long of players hugging the horse, of players like being able to sit with their horse and snuggle with the horse kind of thing, and it seems really weird that we have absolutely no care mini games other than, you know, drag and drop. So it would be nice to be able to do that. It would be nice to be able to, you know, just be able to do things with your horse. The horse is not a machine. It's not something that is supposed to be just taking you from one area to the other. You do need to be there and spend time with your horse, whether, it's taking it for a walk, doing lunging and luging with it, which could be part of doing more with your horse type of thing. What they call quote-unquote groundwork. Adding in those mechanics from the Star Stable Horses apps with the horse, having it do the leg crossovers left and right, and that type of stuff would help you bond more with your horse, and then by giving them choosable personalities, it would help give the horse more life. And right now, they feel very plastic. I have no reason, actually, the reason why I love my favorite horse in Star Stable right now is the Andalusian. It's because of it's such a hammy personality that they've given those animations that, when I ride the Andalusian, I'm getting off the Andalusian, and he's kind of he's pulling he's trying, it's like the horse is trying to make me laugh. And I would really love to see that, a shy horse, or a stubborn horse, or a funny horse, whatever. More of these type animations put into the game, with proper weight physics, so the poor Percherons don't feel like they're floating in midair. Give them some weight. and then after that, there's a horse friendship system, and the halter and saddle training, with the catch and tame horse being pretty much dead last. Which, it's, we could do catch and tame a horse, and then really, that would be like a revamp of the buy system, where you'd have to go out and catch and take, where there would not be horses standing around in stables with little coins over their head, which drives me insane, because I just don't, I like a little, I like a little direction type of UI in my game. I do not like seeing these little glowing things everywhere. It drives me crazy. But yeah, so you could catch and tame the horse, and then when you caught the horse, you'd be given a choice of the options of the coat colors, and that you could, in the main tail options you could choose, and that would give you a combined star coin price of the horse. Because let's face it, we're not going to get these horses for free ever. Horses are our business. Okay then. So let's move on to the next group of questions, which is the club and group mechanics questions. Were you happy with the new club UI? 40% say no, and 59% say yes. I don't know. There really wasn't much change to it, so I've seen both ways, but 60% of you are saying yes, it's fine, don't change it. Okay, probably higher priorities anyway. For club mechanics, what would you like to see first? So the options are club versus club competitions, upgrades to the club house, skins, trophies, etc., in-club challenges and rewards, customizable club outfit, club logo maker, ability to create club routines and races, and a club bank. These were all submitted to me by people who do a lot more with clubs than I do. Okay, so 30% of you, this is bigger, this is twice as big as pretty much than any other thing asked on that list, want club versus club competitions. Which, understandable. Okay, and then the second priority, if we were going by the first one, would be ability to create clubs, routines, and races. If you go by the second one, the second, is 869 responses. It's in-club challenges and rewards. Very clear on there. you know, that only was 15%, but it becomes 20% when, you know, if after you have in club versus club competitions, sure, it makes sense to want in club competitions and rewards. And then the last one, choosing a third priority. Again, you guys are still, you really want to, so the highest one here is the ability to create club routines and races. And I find it really interesting because I have seen a lot of people like, oh, I want upgrades to this clubhouse, I want the customizable club logo in the club outfit and to create a club bank. But when it comes down to it, when you are asked for priorities on these things, you guys end up wanting the stuff you can do. You're asking for the game mechanics. You're not asking for the cosmetics. You want stuff to do. Because, you know, you guys can create your own little club logo off of, you know, in Photoshop or GIMP or online somewhere. You guys can create a club outfit out of the clothes they already have in the shops. I mean, the only things that we don't really have are the club bank and the upgrades to the clubhouse, where, you know, we would be able to choose skins and be able to put up trophies and, I don't know, put up archaeology stuff. I don't know. It depends on, you know, that would have to be a very much another survey. What do you want in clubhouse upgrades? Anyway, this was just me trying to figure out what you guys' priorities are, not create an entire package, because why are we doing Star Stable's job for them? But, you know, if they want to do, well, what do you want to see in clubhouse upgrades, Star Stable themselves, if they want to make a survey about that, that's on them. Which Stacy Place says they want to do more surveys. So maybe we will see some more surveys that have accountability, so we can see the results after we take it, you know, and go back and watch the results in real time after we've taken it to see what, you know, what they do. So this kind of, and we don't have a cosmetics package here. What we have is a game mechanics package of, you guys want to see club versus club competitions first, then you want to be able to create club routines and races, and then, or in-club challenges and rewards, and then you want to be able to create in-club routines and races. That is all very interesting to me. You know, first, you know, you want to be able to compete with other people, and then you want to compete with your other people in your club, and then you want to be able to create club routines and races, which is great for doing social media type of marketing and stuff you guys can do together as a club. In the club organization mechanics, what is the most important to you? So the questions were better sort by list, more authorizations for members, club advertisement box and broadcast button, club recruitment chat channel, club custom ranks, and club owner by symbol name. So the most important to you, once again, this was submitted by other people, not me, but 24% basically is you guys want the club advertisement box and broadcast button, which I have seen a lot. And that's what people were really, 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 really hoping for when they did the club UI, when we did it. And they didn't get it. I saw a lot of anger over that. So club advertisement box and broadcast button. Awesome. Okay, next is in club organization mechanics, what is the second most important to you? So here we have 21%, which falls on like custom club ranks. That might be something they would want to type in. I don't know, but being able to customize your club ranks, that is, you know, a club recruitment chat channel and the custom club ranks were pretty much neck and neck in the first question, and then the club ranks came out ahead in the second one, and then which would leaves the priorities of club recruitment chat channel, which I think is something they really need to have, just to clean up global. I'd say a club recruitment chat channel would be great, and then the last two would be the club owner symbol, and then lastly, you guys want better sort by lists. And you know, better sort by lists or a database thing, so it's kind of weird that they don't have them already. That's pretty easy to do. A to Z, date updated, date joined, Z to A, by by membership role, that should have been easy to implement and done when the club UI was updated. Why it wasn't, I don't know. So, do you like group mechanics? Yes or no? 54% of you like group mechanics. Sorry, you're not Nuck and Nuck anymore. So, what would you like? Group races with good rewards, more group star collectibles, more group soul riding, group finder for training PvPe dailies, and daily trainings as a group race, or all of the above, please. And 54% of you have said the same who said yes, pretty much, have said all of the above, please. So, more group racing with good rewards is 15% of you. More group the concept of group soul riding, which I think would be really kind of cool to be able to do. And then the next priority would be 8.2 or 6.9 would be the training dailies as a group race, and then a group finder. Some people like. Some people really, they want to be able to find people who want to just run around with them and do training dailies. And if you can do it, you don't maybe want to do it together as a group, or maybe you want to do it as singles, whatever. And then lastly, more group star collectibles, only 2.9%. And I understand, because that group star collectible out in the Forgotten Fields is really difficult right now to find people to do it with you. So unless you have a group of friends or a part of a club, and you're invited to the club and you're like, I don't have that star yet, you might not have anybody to actually do it with you. I think if you added in some of these other group mechanics, like more group races, more group soul riding, the group training dailies as a group race, then and finding a group finder so you can do that easily, more group star collectibles would not be necessary. So pets and crafting questions. If they were add more functionality to pets, would you like first? What would you like first? Would you like to hold your pets? Because it keeps showing us holding our pets and we can't do it. To stroke our pets, to pet the pet. I'm sorry I had to use the British version of that, because it would just, pet the pet seems a little weird. But I put pet the pet for the English, for the Americans and everybody else. Train pets to do tricks / solve puzzles. Equip more than one pet, have pets give stats, or find treasures. Now, 36% of you want your pets to find treasures. I have seen this in other games, so, that's understandable. And then in the second functionality that you guys are asking for, which is pretty consistent across both pie charts, I love pie charts, is the train pets to do tricks, solve puzzles, which I've seen similar things in other games too. There was one in Ratchet and Clank, there was that, I think, one of the Ratchet and Clanks, not one of the main games, though I suppose you could say Clank solves puzzles. He's not a pet, but he does solve puzzles. And then I've seen it in the Brave game, that, where the little brother bears were solving puzzles, helping solve puzzles. So, and then if we were going to go for a third one after that, you're all pretty consistent that you do want to pet your pet. You want to be able to pet your pet, and then you also want to be able to hold your pet. With the last two being equip more than one pet and have pets give stats being last. But that would give them a project to do, to be able to say, oh, have our running pets be able to find the treasures, and then be able to train them to do tricks, solve puzzles, be able to play with your pet, come on. And then it'd be equipping more than one pet might be easier, or having pets give stats might be, something easy, so it's can be put down there on low priority, so it could be implemented at the same time. and then, you know, being able to pet your pet. Come on, in Calico I can pet my pet, okay? And then holding the pet. You know, I can also hold my pet in Calico. You know, be able to hold the pet. I can also put my pet, my cat, or ferret, or doggy, or even a little horse or a pig on my head. Next question was, how often should crafting be updated? So, the answers were once a month, every other month, 3 times a year, twice a year, or once a year but really big. So the 3 times a year and the once a year but really big are kind of neck and neck here. The once a year but really big at 26% hold out. I would think that would be awesome, once a year but really, really big. Make it like, bring back the fashion event. Make crafting part of the fashion event. Maybe there's stuff that comes to the stores during the fashion event, and then there are new recipes or new styles you can get for crafting during, specifically for the clothes, for that, you know, and the gear during the fashion event. You know, since that's all we're really crafting right now. You know, we turned in some recyclables for a pet, but okay. What would you like to see in a crafting update? More gear, more clothes, food, and horseshoes. So the more gear, definitely one. 40% here. Around 38%, 40%. And then the clothes and horseshoes are neck and neck. And I understand about more gear. I do, because they've been putting out a lot of new bridles, and I know a lot of you want to see more saddles and, you know, more blankets, and you guys want your, you know, shirts to match your blankets and everything, and crafting seems to allow you to have shirts that match your blankets. But more clothes and horseshoes are neck and neck here. We really ought to be able to create horseshoes at this point, come on. And then food being last. Would you like to be able to use Fair's crafting items like soap, rope, nets, etc.? Yes. Yes. This is, to me, this was a no-brainer, but I did not know what you guys thought. Like, I would like to be able to use the nets in my own stable, or be able to use the nets to catch fish. You know, I would like to be able to use the soap to wash my horse gear or wash my horse. You know, everybody should have some rope. I'd like to be able to make a rope. I'd like to be able to equip more than one pet, so I could equip the rope and then I could have a pet, you know, at the same time. But, you know, be able to use the rope for something, whether tie hitches, you know, make knots, something. Would you like to see crafting expanded with farming and mining? 75.6% of you said yes. There are technically systems already set up in place in the old game. You know, how we learned how to forge our own horseshoes, and we were doing mining when we were doing that, even though it's just a pickaxe. When we were working with Barney, we were making, you know, growing some turnips and some carrots, and we grew some beets for some red dye. I mean, crafting could be expanded to Daxton, too. You know, he's standing right there, and he has his own little workshop table, and we're doing nothing with it. You know, we have sheep with Landon. You know, it's there. The dye system is there. The farming system is there. It's just, it has never been given a place or a way to use it outside of those story quests. General demands, I think we agree on. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back and, let's go back here. And, oops. I guess that was not what I wanted. So, the list of general demands, all the way down here at the bottom, I think we agree on. So, the general demands were the quarterly and yearly roadmaps, transparent communication from game director, creative director. I still don't know who the creative director is for Star Stable Online, by the way. I know who the creative director is for Project Curie, but not Star Stable Online. A universal server report function. Dear God. More bug fixes and quality play testing before releases. better bug fix list, such as in the news and on both Instagram and Facebook. Apparently Esme was doing that. Esme Silver Force there, who's now working in the game development. They didn't hire someone on to take over that role. I don't know why they moved her before they had somebody else already in that position, but so that's why we haven't been getting bug fix lists. That's according to Stacy Place when she did the interview with the Star Stable Photo Center Discord group. A overhaul both the player and horse and player stats and leveling so they mean something. Make numerical growth reflect in mechanical change. A lot of you are really upset that players who started in 2011 have all this extra experience from doing things like Ferdinand's Horse Market, from doing the Christmas events and the Valentine events. And those types of events used to have big stories, which would give us extra experience, which would really push your levels up even faster. And they're not in the game anymore. So a new player can reach level 20, while an older player who's been playing since 2014 or before can reach level 23. And this makes a big difference in championships. Even, those three little things, if you have just those three little levels, if you have the right stats and know which horse to use, which I think right now is supposedly the Pentavian or something, that it's a mess. There is not a lot of difference between a level 0 horse and a level 5 horse. There needs to be, the whole system needs an overhaul. That's what I'm saying. It just needs an overhaul, and we'd have to be able to. And if they did do that, we would, yes, older players might scream, but it would be good for the gaming community overall. Player housing and stable customization. I have seen this asked for so many times, I just figured, I know it's a role-playing cosmetic thing, but players want it. It's something that is standard for the MMO genre at this point. We should have it. A role-play text box for the character, which is just when you click on your character, you should be able to type in a description of what your character's personality and age is. I have seen that asked for a lot too. Seeing a list of team members with game character avatars for all I care. I just want the names, titles, numbers of employees, and it to be updated regularly. So those were the lists of demands, and I asked if you agreed with the above list and what you don't agree with if you didn't agree with anything. So if you agreed with everything, you didn't have to answer. Some of you did. Okay, so 82.7, so 83% of you agree with the above list of 903 responses. So, and 35 of you said no, and 121 of you said maybe. And then 214 of you responded in the little vent box I gave you. So, what don't you agree with? Question, what don't you agree with? Alright, so they were showing 214 responses, but you have 706 responses. Now, I actually have raw footage of me spending 2.5 hours going through the 706 responses of question 47 and the 539 responses of question 48. But because I want to spare you 2.5 hours, I'm going to sum up. Maybe I'll post that raw 2.5 hours video someplace else. For right now, I'm gonna make a summary of what you guys have told me, what I saw the most trends in the responses. So rest assured, I have actually read every single response, including the ones that tell me that my survey is stupid and biased. Okay. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, those of you without gender, who are non-binary, please make your own survey. Do it your own way. This is an opinion survey. There are no objective facts in an opinion survey. Everyone has a bias here. The point of this survey is to find the general, overall priorities of the entire community. This means there are going to be people who have priorities that are different than you. There are people who are going to want things differently than you. There's going to be some wildly opposing opinions. I want housing. I don't want housing. I want this. I don't want this. So, for those of you who want to try to create an unbiased survey about, where Star Stable should go next, more power to you. The more data Star Stable can get out of the community in a way that is, how do I do this? Say this. That is collated and collected and put into little charts and graphs and graphics, the better. The fact that they haven't been doing this is kind of insane. They're paying big companies to tell them how to sell their video game better to children, but they're not paying companies like Quantic Foundry to tell them, or they're not even using their own communities, like the ambassadors, to create polls and surveys to tell them what their community wants as a group, what game mechanics, what's the next priority in the story updates, things like that. What do they want from pets, etc. and so forth, which is what I tried to address in the survey. Right? If you think you can do that in an unbiased, objective way, be my guest. So there were 3 things, and I made some little notes on a post-it, because I love post-its, you guys were going over into the 3 major concerns. Number 1, you did not understand what I meant by role player character box. Okay. What I have seen in the role-playing community, or you didn't care about it, in the role-playing community, they have requested that in the character box of the user interface, that they have a text box so that they can enter in things like their character personality, character history, pronouns, things like that. So for when they are role-playing, when somebody inspects them, when they're trying to get into a role-play, they can see that they're, inspect the character and find out, if the character is going to suit the role-playing aspect of this, role that they're doing. That's all I meant. I did not explain it well enough. Mea culpa on me. Okay. Number 2, you are against an employee list because of employee privacy concerns. This came up so much, it felt like a talking point. I felt like if I asked you about it, you would not be able to explain to me what you meant. So, here's the thing. I would not be asking for a team size employee list if Star Stable had updated in an accurate credit list in the game. They do not have an accurate and updated credit list in the game. So that is me going, I would like the employees of Star Stable Entertainment to get credit for the hard work they are putting in on Star Stable Online. Alright? And the thing is, Star Stable Entertainment has actually put out an employee list for Project Curie. They have done this before. This is not something that they don't know how to do. Okay? So, the team of Project Curie has photographs. A long paragraph of information most of us wouldn't care about. Their first names, their pronouns, and what they are doing. So, Jake, Ash, the one I still refuse to try to pronounce because I don't want to butcher it. I am so sorry. Lauren. Sometimes I hate being American because of that. Devin, Tamara, Tess and Keith and Phoebe and Ellen and Aubrey and Olivia. And there are 12 people on this list. 4 of them are writers. They have 4 writers for Project Curie, and as far as I know, 1 narrative lead designer for Star Stable Online. 4 writers for a project that they haven't even put out yet, and 1 who is editing game developers' content for Star Stable. Ugh. So this is not something that Star Stable Entertainment hasn't done before. Okay. The employee privacy concerns. Okay, I understand. I think I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and I think what you're thinking about is a DV situation, and okay, this isn't going to be monetized, so I might as well come out and say it. A domestic violence situation. In a domestic violence situation, this is somebody put it out, you don't ask who works at your McDonald's. No, usually I don't ask who works at my McDonald's because I'm going into McDonald's is so regulated, and it has I go into my McDonald's, and if my food is bad, I just go to another McDonald's, and potentially the food will be better because it will just depend on the franchise owner and how they're putting it together. By the way, this is what I've done with Star Stable Online. I have gone to Eastshade. I have gone to Calico. I am playing Story of Seasons. It doesn't mean I don't want to know who's the, for the community's sake, that doesn't mean I don't want to know who's actually working on the game. So in a DV situation, a domestic violence situation, is, as employees, you are trained to tell people that, not even to tell people who works there, and you don't know, and, even if they're going to be, or if they're going to be in or not. You tell them, you cannot give out that information. Would you like to talk to a manager? The unfortunate fact is, in a domestic violence situation like that, they already know where you work. They already know where you work. They know where you live. If you're running away to Sweden to work on a video game and you're in a domestic violence situation, that's kind of an extreme. They would, if it's somebody in Sweden who is in a domestic violence situation in Sweden, I understand. I really do. I understand the idea of a privacy concern in that type of situation. Unfortunately, on the other hand, we have, in 2022, fostered this transparency in the gaming industry, which is actually more a good thing rather than a bad thing. So I want to show you quickly what I mean by I just want to know how many people are on the team, and at most who the team leads are. Okay, so this is Bitcraft. Bitcraft is being done by Clockwork Labs, and Bitcraft's website has little avatars, cute little avatars, and they have first names or handles in what they're doing. There are 12 people in the Clockwork Labs for their MMO survival game that is being done in Unity. And one of them, Benedict Nichols over here, who does the music and sound design, is a freelancer. And he also did their cinematic trailer for them. He edited it for them, which I thought was very nice of him. So this is quite... So here we are, 12 people, cute little avatars, handles. That's all I need to know. Here we are at Singularity 6. Singularity 6 is another studio working on an MMO. They're working on a cozy community simulation MMO with optional combat. I really hope that combat remains optional. I'm very excited about Palia. And they have 91 employees. That's up 41 employees since I looked at it 6 to 8 months ago when I did my cozy branding video on it. Because Singularity 6 is only working on Palia, I am relatively certain all of those 91 employees are working on the game. That's all I need to know. That is literally all I need to know. That is their team size. This is Ashes of Creation, Intrepid Studios. So, Intrepid Studios is working on Ashes of Creation, which is a traditional PvP combat MMO done in Unreal 5. They had $35 million to start out with, and they had originally a team of 35 people. This is now the team leads. And then you notice, when I hover over them, it has their names and who they are. There are 12 team leads. I do not need to know any more beyond 12 team leads, and I'm sure if I went to Intrepid Studios on LinkedIn, the same way I did with Singularity 6, I could probably get a team size. They say they have 2 more projects in the works after they finish Ashes of Creation, which should be out sometime, I believe, next year, as they've just finished up the transferring to Unreal 5 engine. Everything, they've transferred all their code and graphics and everything from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, which was one of the big milestones for them. And it looks amazing. I don't have a computer that could play it, but it really does look amazing. And that would be a type of game I'd run around and look at for the pretty. Okay, I don't need no more than this. And notice that the lead animator, Chris Myers here, he put up a little avatar dwarf picture, and I'd honestly, I would really love to see everybody animated in as a fantasy character. That's awesome. So here's the thing. Without a team size, without knowing who the team leads are, and that's usually the only people that hardcore gamers care about, they care about the team leads. We don't know how much work we can expect, how much content, how fast should this upgrade to the engine be taking if they're making an upgrade to the engine. How fast should it be to go from what they're doing with one texture layer to the texture layer and the gradient layer and the blocking layers if they have blocking layers. We don't know how long is this going to take, because we don't know how many people are working at the studio, and we don't know what projects are main projects, and we don't know which projects are Friday projects. We have no idea how much we should expect, and this is a problem. Star Stable Entertainment AB, I had this up last time. Has over 100 employees. Jesus Christ. Star Stable in. Oh, I did it yesterday when I did. There we go. The latest updates for Star Stable Entertainment from is 236 employees, which is 2 more than it was last month. So, with a cybersecurity rating of B, which is not great. We don't know how many of these 236 employees are actually working on the game, and how many working on Wildsong, or how many working on Project Curie. Just give me what Witchcraft has. Make character avatars with your new character creator, and tell me who the team leads are, and tell me how big we have X amount of employees working on Star Stable Online itself, and here are the team leads with little character avatars from the game, and it doesn't have to be their first and last name like Intrepid did, and it doesn't have to, it can just be what Bitcraft has done, or they can do what they did for Project Curie, which is first names and pronouns and pictures and, who the seniors are. That's all I need to know. Because when I know that it took 16 people approximately 4 months to do the Wildwoods, that tells me that they could be doing a lot more for updating the map, making new map. Okay? Now, some of you were also concerned about the roadmaps. I believe the roadmap was setting expectations and not being able to meet them, so people would be disappointed. People are already disappointed. This project has been going for 10 years. It is still at beta game level. We need some roadmaps so we can find out when we're going to get the end of the story that we paid for and have been paying for. There are people who have put thousands of dollars into this game. Having a yearly roadmap, if they can't meet something on that yearly roadmap, then yes, the player base should be disappointed. When you have 236 employees and you can't, come up with a new character creator in under a year, then yes, players should be disappointed. You're making this out to be a lot harder than it actually is. We need to be able to see when the end is in sight. People have been playing this game for 10 years, and there is no end to the Garnock story. That engine should have been remastered 5 years ago, so on and so forth. It's just doing stuff to standard industry practices. We need to see roadmaps so we can see, basically, is it worth our time to even stick with this game anymore? If this game was fully complete and fully developed, fine, no roadmaps. But this game is not complete. It's not fully developed. So, they have to still act like they're in development and give us a look at what's going to come next. Okay? Alright, so, and then the last question was, is there any other major update or improvement you'd like to see SSO do? Finishing the map and the story is a given. You guys, you really did use this as event box. So I was trying to make sure that this was not any type of a simple role-playing type of updates. We have a lot of role-playing stuff in the game, and some of this stuff I'm not sure it can be done given their engine. But the 3 things that came out were you guys wanted weather, you want the horse call button, which I think they tried to kind of sop that with putting where your horse is on the map, and putting and having a magic and skill system that can be used outside of story. Now, of the 3, weather would need to have a new engine, which a lot of you have actually said in here you would like to see them to rebuild or remaster Star Stable Online in a new engine, which once again should have been done 5 years ago, but that is a good point. So the weather that they have right now is kind of feels very, very forced. My understanding is that, you know, what they've done is kind of like workarounds because the engine can't do it. So that's one thing that they would have to upgrade the engine for if you guys want an improved day-night cycle and better weather. So the magic and skill system. I kind of had this in my head that given that that would be part of story, that it was kind of a given. And I should know better than that. But yes, a magic and skill system that we learn through story should be in the game as part of the gameplay mechanics that would set this game apart from every other game. Some of you want PvE combat, and I've had people come to me and say, you know, I thought this game was gonna be a combat game because I saw Alex running away from Mr. Anwar on the front page, and I thought that's what the game was going to be about, that we were going to be running, chasing down and taking care of monsters. Now, I really did enjoy that Mr. Anwar fight, where we had to have Alex throw lightning magic at us, basically, and then go run into him, because it reminded me a little bit of a platformer game. I really would prefer us to be able to learn magic powers, so we could do this ourselves, but, you know, Star Stable hasn't done that yet, because we're not there in the story yet. So, yes, I agree that we should have magic powers as part of the game, that there should be a system, you know, for us to use star circle healing powers, that there should be, you know, we should be able to learn how to part the mists of the past and the future, like Linda does, that we should be able to open portals into Pandoria, like Anne does, and that we should be able to use Soul Strike like Alex does, to be able to, you know, and make wards, make shields, like, for, you know, as part of the game. And there have been other images, you know, there was that one image of the girl riding down the beach and she was using lightning powers on the fish. Okay, that was actually a fourth one. You guys wanted better fishing mechanics. And you also wanted breeding. But, oh, so that was the, you know, and there was some, the people who put it in, went over to Reddit were like, oh my god, I totally understand, you know, full props to the person who says they want combat, let's grab a sword and go after these Dark Riders type of thing. So, I agree. I have to agree that there should be some sort of way to use our magics, and there should be a skill system for horses, so that we can learn different horse moves with them, you know, so that we have more skills than just running away. But, you know, me being a game developer myself, who has done a whole bunch of research into this for my own project, went, oh, that's just part of the story. We'll get that as part of the story. And I should know better. Because unless we say this, I really ought to know better at this point. Unless we say this to Star Stable apparently directly and in, you know, plain terms, it probably won't happen. Alright, so I'm gonna try, you know, I'm not gonna scroll through all this, but I did look through everything. I've read through everything. But a lot of it was you guys going, I want character updates, I want map updates, I want story updates, or, you know, little smaller role-playing things that are lower priority, or things like breeding, or double star coins that I know Star Stable is not going to want to do, because that will take away from their ability to make money, unless, you know, they put in certain systems where you would have a full, breed the full, have the full, and then still have to play star coins for it. I'm not sure if they're willing to set up those type of systems, or, you know, removing the York shilling cap. I can't see that happening, because that's gonna, as you know, even though it shouldn't, no other games have caps like this, even though it shouldn't, they would probably start increasing prices for no good reason. This is some of the things that they do to justify, you know, poking at your impatience to buy star coins is really, it makes me want to take a shower, honestly. You know, there's no reason for a Jorvik shillings cap in this game. Absolutely none. Other than the fact that they don't want you to grind enough so you can save up your Jorvik shillings and then buy everything all at once when, you know, new stuff comes out. They want you to be at this cap, be forced to buy things you don't want, or, you know, so you'll buy star coins when something limited time comes out because you don't have the time, or you don't have the inclination to grind for those shillings. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there was anything else that really stuck out to me. Guys, thank you so much. I mean, I am blown away. I mean, you guys have such great ideas. You have such great observations about what's going on in, you know, in Star Stable, from the story to the company itself. Even you, the people who came in to try to sabotage the survey, thank you for taking it and boosting our numbers. Even if you didn't like the survey and you made a video about it, you spread the word about the survey. That, you know, I have been so, in a way, I've been so humbled by this, because I did not expect to get the 920, because this is now a Saturday morning, the 920 responses. I really thought getting remotely close to 1,000 was a pie in the sky type of dream, and you guys came through. You spread it around, you put it on Facebook groups, and as I said in the opening of the video, at about 200 responses, the percentages started leveling out, and they stayed the same to 400. They stayed the same to 800, even after the video, where people went, "It's so biased and stupid." You know, it sounds like you have another problem, darling. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's my survey. Which is good. This is actually really good, that from 200 responses to 800 responses and 900 responses, that the percentages of the different answers to the questions stayed the same. Because that means you as a community do have specific priority. There are things you want. And, you know, this is... that it means it made it really hard for people trying to come in and sabotage to actually sabotage. That would have taken a very concentrated effort, maybe like 500 more responses. And the only things I can think you could sabotage are like the first 4 questions anyways. So, I mean, even if you went through and just answered random things for everything else. And so, thank you. Thank you so much for all of this. I will try to come up with some different graphic types, you know, like a player roadmap, and then, you know, some player packages, because Stacy says that if she can come up with packages of related game mechanics, that she can take them before the team and they can decide if they're viable or not, and maybe turn them into projects and assign those projects priorities. And maybe some of these packages, like, you know, and some of these old things, like you guys really wanted the test the horse feature, which I think is kind of necessary too. That was a Friday project that got abandoned, unfortunately. And you're going, how can you know that was a Friday project? It got abandoned. It was a Friday project. Look, you know, it's just, maybe some of these things could get more priorities put onto them. You know, the fact that we have to come up with these packages ourselves, that they're not going through their own embassy server where there are thousands of ideas. There's thousands, hundreds of videos on YouTube about what I want to see in Star Stable. I know, because I've looked through them. I've watched them. I have scrolled through the embassy looking through your ideas, especially before and after when major things come out that you guys were asking for and you were like, why you did like it and you didn't like it. There are suggestions on Reddit. There were suggestions in Instagram comments and Facebook comments. This has been going on for years. I did not come up with any of this out of my own head. And then when I asked my community, they gave me lists. You guys, this is, you guys know what you want. The fact that you go and play other games and Star Stable does not meet your expectations means that this is not the #1 fastest growing horse game on the internet like they want to think it is. And it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. So I'm gonna, again, work on some graphics to make these into some packages so we can, you know, maybe they get turned into projects so that the Stacy and the devs can see, you know, what the community really wants. Now the video will be up so that I am being held accountable here, so you guys can come in and see the percentages even after I close the quiz, which I'll do on the 25th, and hopefully I will have a video in the graphics about the strike, or how to strike, on the 1st. So I hope you enjoyed this over probably 2-hour video now. Take care of yourselves. I found this very, very interesting, so I hope you found it interesting too. Bless, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.